and
You dying over
we're
there?
live. We are
When
live
you
now.
dying over there?
I don't know. I feel like maybe
You all right?
allergies or something. Yeah, I don't know. I think allergies are kicking up a little bit today, maybe.
Mine were kicking in when I was cleaning up all the dang leaves and branches, man.
All the debris from the
Dude, well, when you would move them, you could just see the pollen fly in the air.
yeah, that's no
You
fun.
know what I mean?
I'm sharing mine now, so
Oh, okay. I'll be right behind you. Hold on. Just gotta make sure there's no crises going on.
right on. Well, I've shared mine.
Uh,
I beat you yet again, young grasshopper. Good times. Well, you ready there, Gramps? All right, I'm gonna go
yes,
ahead
sir.
and run.
Yes,
I'm gonna
sir.
run that intro.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
All right.
Shut up and sit down.
Boom. Well, we gotta be careful. For anybody who's in here in Orlando, they might have gotten triggered with the boom there.
Here
Transformers
comes the
going on.
boom.
Yeah, right. Anyways, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Dope and Dharma. It is for us live. It is Tuesday, so this is of course the Dharma Time edition of Dope and Dharma, and he is of course the one and only Dope Doctor,
¿Qué
and
pasó?
I'm still the Dharma guy. So I think I'm going to stick with that.
Just for today.
Just for today. And anyways, yes, you're talking. You're listening to us live on hopefully, most likely, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You can catch us live if you want to participate in the discussion. Look up Dope and Dharma, and you'll find us there. Otherwise, you're most likely listening to this on one of your major podcasting platforms.
That's right, Mr. Coleman from Facebook Live. You are the audience, sir.
Yeah.
And I don't think we talked about it, but I got a chance to meet Mr. Richard Coleman
Yes.
when I
Yes.
was up in North Carolina a few
I
weeks
saw
ago.
that.
Yeah, we went
Yeah,
out
I met him
to
before too.
yeah, well, you grew up with him, right? We went to a Mexican restaurant, had some tacos together,
It's
and it was pretty
cultural
awesome.
appropriation.
That's right. That's right. I asked for the Mexican restaurant. It wasn't like one of those things where
Right.
he goes, "Do you want Mexican food?" Because since you're Mexican, and it wasn't one of those things. That
Yeah.
I actually requested it, and he had a great place in mind, and it was really good. So I encourage anyone in his part of the world, if you're in that area and you're looking for some good Mexican food, that restaurant was good, man.
Right on. So, as many of you are aware, we had a hurricane come through.
Is that what
Uh,
that was?
yeah,
God.
uh, yeah, some wind. But no. So last night, we do our Monday show, The Couch Live,
Mm-hmm.
on 1680 WOKB radio. That's 1680 AM, and then it's also aired on 100.7 FM. And then, of course, all of our normal stations. So we started the discussion last night, and we talked about kind of just the recovery efforts and just the overall what was going on. And we figured we would continue some of that discussion here today. It got
Right.
a little bit more in depth as to just some different angles or different perspectives on it. But
Right.
either way, for those of you who have been living under a rock and aren't aware, we reside in Florida. I am in
Mm-hmm.
Central Florida. Well, I guess technically we're both Central Florida, but I am Orlando. He is New Smyrna Beach on the East Coast. The hurricane hit landfall on the West Coast, down south in Port Charlotte, made its way pretty much all the way across the state, exiting. I think last I saw it exited right there at New Smyrna Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went out, got turned back into a hurricane, and hit. I think it was South Carolina, and then it continued its way north. Last I heard, it was in Cape Cod, I believe. Um, and it was it was quite the experience. So I guess let's just go ahead and jump right into it, man. The
Okay.
first one we have here is just writing it out. So I gotta say, man, as we discussed on Monday, since I've been in Florida for 35 plus years, I've gone through 160 landfall hurricanes, I think it was. I think 10 of them were majors, I believe, major being anything category 3 and above. And I've had quite the array of experiences, right? Like I've had basically like nothing where it's like, a styrofoam cup fell over. It's like, never forget, I've had those. But then I've also had Charlie that came through and just like wrecked my neighborhood. I do believe that it wasn't just Charlie that did that. I think it was also a tornado, but you can include said tornadoes within Charlie because Charlie caused them. So I'm talking trees blown over, houses destroyed, cars destroyed. Like, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, Charlie was bad.
Yeah. And then and so that was mostly wind damage and gust and things of that nature for me. And then this last one, so well, back up a little bit. I said last night even, um, during Charlie was the only moment that I've ever had for the hurricanes that I've been through where I had a moment where I was like, I don't know if I'm safe in my living room right now.
Mm.
Normally I'm like chilled, relaxed, crossing my fingers, hoping the power doesn't go out so I can keep watching my show or whatever. Um, there's been many years where I've actually let the kids go out and play in some of the, if it's safe. Like, I'm not talking like things blowing past and stuff.
Father
But
of the year.
whatever. You know what? And they remember that though. They were so excited and stuff.
Sure. You
But
would too if you had to go to the graveyard every year at this
yeah.
time because of it.
But there was one time during Charlie where I was just like, and come to find out later, I believe that was when the tornado came through. But there was one time in my living room, I'm like, I'm looking around, like the windows are shaking. I'm hearing like a freight train coming. I'm like, I don't know if I should be in the living room right now. So I went to the interior bathroom and whatnot. But the last,
wait, time out. I didn't catch that yesterday when you said this.
what?
You said I went to the interior of the bathroom. The kids
Yeah.
are flying from the front yard
No,
to the
I
backyard.
didn't have
Front yard to the
kids.
backyard, front yard to the backyard, front yard to the backyard. And yeah, I could just, that's what I'm picturing though.
But I didn't have kids
I'm-
during Charlie.
I know, but that's what I'm
I
picturing. I'm
was
picturing
kid
you
free.
in the bathroom.
Sure.
And
Letting
I
the kids
picture
out play.
Angel. I picture Angel like slamming on the door, and then the kids flying from the backyard to the front yard.
There's
That's
only
what I'm
room for
picturing.
one, guys. Sorry. No, I didn't have kids, and I didn't know Angel back then when
Okay,
Charlie
all right.
hit. So I was
All right,
a single guy
You're
hanging
forgiven.
out by myself in the house. But not a lot of in the way of flooding, things of that nature in my house at that time. Then the next couple hurricanes that we've experienced,
Right.
I think Maria was the next major one that everybody was talking about. My power didn't even go off. I barely got rain. Like, it was nothing for us here. Um, Fast forward to Ian. So Ian, a lot of people I interact with, they all kind of ask me the same thing. I think that's a normal occurrence for many of us. Is we get asked, are you worried? Like, are you taking, how what do you think about it? This, that, and the other. And so for me, when I look at, I have certain like checkbox, things, parameters, if you will, that I look at to decide my level of fear about what's coming. And I have a very specific, out of all the, at 160 of them that I've been through, I have very specific guidelines of like, okay, if it hits this, I'm worried. And this one didn't hit those check boxes. It looked like it might for a little while, but when it shifted, I was like, okay. So, anyways, long story short, it was a Wednesday evening for us here that hit Wednesday evening, Thursday morning. There's just barely any thunderstorms. It was kind of just rain for me. And then getting closer to bedtime, when I was going to sleep, I could hear the wind kicking up just a little bit. Nothing major. I didn't, nothing like, oh my gosh. Went to bed, woke up Thursday morning, like, all right, I guess it must have hit. Let me go see what's going on. And that was when the reality started to hit. Like, I looked out my front window, and I've never seen my cul-de-sac flooded like that before. The whole cul-de-sac was flooded. The water was about halfway up my driveway. Still a good, I don't know, 20 feet from my front door, but rapidly approaching. Had the rain kept going for another day, even it would have eventually hit my house. And I was just like, whoa, like, this was unexpected. And then I put the kids in the truck, and I figured, like, let me just go in my neighborhood just to see what was going on. I come around the corner, and I was astonished at what I saw. Like, for those of you who follow me on social media, I posted some pictures of it, and I'm not even sure if the pictures really do it justice. Some of the friends that I have who've been to my home saw those pictures and were like, whoa. But the neighborhood that's connected to mine, like the back part of my neighborhood, was flooded 3-4 feet easily. Like, water up to the midway point of cars. People's garages like halfway underwater. it was uh, it was it was bad. Like it was bad enough to where I didn't want to take my truck driving through it. That's how deep it was. And then when I tried to leave my neighborhood, you could actually physically get out of my neighborhood, but the main street that you would exit onto, about 100 yards in either direction, it was about 3 or 4 feet of water. So I couldn't go anywhere. I tried to go. I got a little bit into the water, and then I looked up and I saw a rather large truck. It was like a Ford 2 or 350 dually, and as he was coming to me, I could see the water going over the hood of his truck. That was enough for me to say, "Nope, I'm gonna turn right back around, and I'm not gonna chance that." So, realistically speaking, I was trapped in my neighborhood. I couldn't have gotten out. Couldn't go anywhere, and it was insane. And I thought that was bad, which it was until later on that evening, going into the next morning. I started turning on the news, and then that's when I started seeing like there was a neighborhood a block away from my house where they had airboats that had to come in, to pull people out to safety. Complete cars were submerged. Expanded just a little bit, go roughly 3 or 4 miles from my house, maybe five, and complete homes were underwater. Like they're showing homes up to the roof underwater, and people on roofs trying to be rescued. It was insane. Like
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that in all my years of living in Florida. Like I've seen it on, Hurricane Andrew when it hit Miami.
Mhm.
I've seen down in Port Charlotte and stuff, but never here, never this far inland. And it was surreal, dude. Like even you, right? Like I know you lost power for a little bit. I'll let you tell your own story, but
Mhm.
I sent you a picture. There was this little like ice cream shop that when I used to go out to the station that we had, in Canal Street, I would pass by the ice cream shop every single time. And I had a picture where it's like halfway underwater. Like
Mhm.
I was just like, it's crazy to see these landmarks that you're so used to seeing the like water, like how high it is. It's just I don't, it was quite surreal, dude. Like that was my experience, anyways. Thankfully, here in my own personal home, no damage. Water never made it to the house. My power never even went out. Had it not been for the devastation that I saw around me, or the coverage that I saw on TV, I would have never known we even had a hurricane. Like it was that sublime. So, uh, but I'm surrounded by devastation, like in every direction I go, and that was I'm still honestly I'm still wrapping my head around it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around like what just happened here. So
Well, and that's the good part, and that's so we should always preface it with that.
yeah,
I think that the good part is that we're here talking about it today, the way we're talking about it today, rather than, um, mourning the loss of
yeah,
somebody very near and dear to us, or even one
yeah,
of us. So we're very fortunate in that respect. Yeah, I started about. I knew it was going to hit overnight. I mean, they said that it was going to hit. They were really good with timing, even So once it got real close, whoever they are that figure this stuff out, or whatever machine they invented that could figure out exactly at what time it's going to arrive at your house, it's like freaking Waze at that point, because it knew to the
yeah,
minute when it was going to hit our house. It's really
yeah.
cool the way they figured that
Not at
part out.
first though. At first they thought I was going to hit Tampa.
Well, I'm talking about once it gets closer. Like all
Yeah,
their
of course.
projections initially are always kind of really wobbly,
Yeah,
right? But it's like it hits that spot, and then that's when they know, all right, it's
yep,
going to hit your house at 8 a.m. So I
yeah,
knew at 8 a.m. we were going to get hit,
yeah.
pretty much, right? 8 a.m. And so the
Yeah,
funny
I
thing
remember I
is that,
called you and you were like, "Yeah, I'm in the middle of it right now."
yeah, you called me, and like, I was like, dude, I lost power at 3 a.m. So like,
It's
when it
crazy.
was at your house, we lost power, uh,
Wow.
just from the outer bands. And then you're calling me, and when you and your kids are out there playing in puddles, and sitting there swimming through your yard, I'm like, dude, we're actually in it. The one radar screen I could finally get up on my phone, because at that point in time, my phone still worked.
Right.
So at that point in time, I was like, whoa, the radar says I'm actually in the innermost band right
Yeah.
now. So when you and I were talking, that outer band, I mean, that first inner band, the supposedly the most destructive band, was right over my house at that time. So those are the videos that
Right.
I got. I didn't post any of those, but I have them.
Did you even get those ones I was sending? I was trying to send you
I
radar
couldn't send
updates.
anything. I
Oh,
couldn't.
that
Yeah, I
sucks.
got one radar thing that you sent
Okay.
me.
I was trying to
I
show you like this is where you're at.
No, my phone, it just wasn't working anymore. So I couldn't send you because I was trying to send you those videos of what I was experiencing at that moment because you were like,
Right.
dancing in the rain, singing in the rain, crap, it's not even raining at your house, and I'm over here like the trees going sideways, and it's like, yeah, Trini, I'm glad you're okay, bro. I'm still might die, so I was still riding it out, and then it got calm, and even though it turned it, luckily, um, it had it was a slow moving hurricane. So luckily, by being a slow moving hurricane, it lost a lot of its power over land, which
Yeah.
is what they do. And so it was no longer a hurricane by the time it hit my house. It was a tropical storm. But let me tell you something: tropical storm with 70-mile-an-hour gusts is still
Yeah.
75-mile-an-hour
Yeah. It's
gusts,
intense.
man. And so all I'm watching is trees flying down the road, like tumbleweeds. You got these branches, just, and then it got calm, and then they started going the opposite direction. So then all the branches wanted to go in the opposite direction because that's what happens in circular motion, right? First you
Yep.
get this, and then you get the other part, and so then they all start the same branches that went that way. I think started running down the opposite direction. So I knew that we were at the end of the storm, and look, at the end of the day, we had no electricity until 2 days later. Um, and what we had was a lot of leaves and stuff. I haven't been on our roof, to be honest with you, so I don't know. I did see some shingles on the ground, but I don't know if they were mine or a neighbor's. So I will find out. Once I me atrevo. How do you say that name? Me atrevo. I dare. Once I dare to get on the roof, or put myself in that position, I might get one of my, either my son-in-law or my youngest daughter's boyfriend. I'll stick his
That's right.
self up on that roof. That's why you have son-in-laws
Right.
and boyfriends of daughters to throw their butts on the roof. To tell me what about the damage looks up there, but look, no real damage. My daughter lost a fence that we put up, and I got a lot of mess. But the point is that you're right. Around the surrounding area, though, I was shocked because we're high and dry. We're one of the highest houses in this entire neighborhood. Uh, I saw that the par five in my backyard was a river. That was true. The creek on
Yeah.
the other side of the golf course turned into a river, and it occupied the entire brand new golf course that they just reseeded and replanted. $2 million golf project down the drain. It's now destroyed.
Wow.
So that's really sad on that end. But I know you guys say, "Oh, the golf course is bad. Poor you guys." Hey,
Quality
don't
of our
bother.
problems.
Don't bother. Yeah, first world problems over here. Uh, but yeah, that's how we wrote it out, man. Slept through the initial part, obviously, and then all day long it was just pounding us all day because it was slow moving. So it took about a good
Yeah.
6 hours.
Now, do you know
Good six
anybody
hours.
who sustained real damage? Like I have
Yeah,
some people
yeah,
I know that had water like flooded in their house and like
yeah. I know
yeah,
several people where they had to evacuate their homes. They were flooded. So realistically, they can't go back and stay
yeah,
there right now. Uh, Unfortunately, yeah, several. Our office got a little flooded. Our station that you were talking about earlier, it actually flooded a little bit.
yeah,
It's back in operation, but yeah, the church that's connected to it is not back in operation. It's a little lower than our office, and
yeah,
therefore and they had carpet. We have wood floors, so all we had to do
yeah.
is dry them up, whereas they had carpet, and so it just smells like mold and mildew. It's disgusting. uh but yeah,
Yeah, you know the
uh
one thing before we get to our next topic, the one thing that did strike me as odd that I've never seen at all in all the hurricanes I've been through. Normally, after the hurricane comes through, it's like a bright, sunshiny, like ridiculously hot, humid day. And it's just like a slog of trying to clean up everything and do stuff. This one was weird because like literally after it went through, it was like 60 something degrees
dude, it
outside.
was like fall weather.
It was so weird. I've
it
never
was
seen that.
it, it was the first time after not having electricity that I wasn't miserable because
Yeah.
the weather felt great.
Yeah, it was weird.
um Here's the weird thing, Trent, and this is if this was a Christian show, I would say this is, God's funny thing, but this is a Dharma show, so I'm gonna say Buddha knew best.
He doesn't control
I
anything.
know, but I'm just gonna use it like it. So Mother Nature does this really cool thing where it says, "I'm going to destroy you for a day." But then I'm going to give you a couple of really nice days
Yeah,
afterwards that you can just do the cleanup. You
yeah,
notice it never rains during cleanup days.
yeah.
Those days that they know you have off and you have no electricity, Mother Nature leaves that really nice and calm and sunny. These are normally like good beach days.
Right.
No, these are cleanup days. Go
Yeah.
go clean up. I'm going to give you a few days of cleanup, and then I'll hit you with rain and wind again.
Yeah, I don't know about
Uh,
you, but I'm actually seeing. I think we're getting our first storm. Like the clouds are starting to form a little bit.
that's what I said. It gives you
Today.
several
Yeah,
days, and then it says I'm going to come back and hit you again.
I just know that like this is the first rain that I think we're gonna get since, and so I could just imagine everybody around me is just like, no, like no more rain.
Those neighborhoods, I'm sure your neighborhoods are still flooded. These neighborhoods over here are still flooded.
You know what? My actual physical neighborhood, it's
Mhm.
the water's receded within like 2 days. There was the one behind me that the airboats had to come in. I
Right.
don't know if it's still flooded. The last I saw, it still was. So I don't know where they're at currently, but
Yeah. Canal
um,
has receded where the old station is. Canal has receded, but that was an ocean. That was a
yeah,
river.
yeah,
That was all through downtown was flooded. Flagler, the ocean actually went down all the way through Flagler.
wow,
So I mean, all the way. So
wow,
and then receded the same day. I mean, but the ocean actually came all the way in. So when they say when like those movies that you see that the ocean just keeps coming, coming,
yeah.
coming, coming, and it's going through the town. It did that in New Smyrna Beach.
Well, that was the thing for me that stood out a little bit for this particular one. And it could just be anecdotal. I don't know. But this is the first time I remember this much footage of live what was happening. There was
Yeah.
an actual thing down in Fort Myers Beach I watched. There was a camera, and you could watch the storm surge like slowly just take over the camera.
Mhm.
There was another one where it showed like this intersection where you could see the storm surge come and just
Mhm.
completely wipe out it. Like I haven't seen those like real time
Mhm.
ever. I don't remember ever seeing that. And and I just my heart does go out to people in like Fort Myers Beach, Naples. I mean anywhere for that matter. They got hit hard, but um I mean, it looks like they called it right where it looks like a war zone. When I looked and like it's bad, like really, really bad. Um, uh,
That's As you're saying that, I'm
yeah,
reading
so
this by Richard. That's you, Trinity. You might be the Dharma guy, man. I
there you
mean,
go.
going out there and playing in the storm, sending your kids out. The thing. But you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
it's
the camera footage and everything. I'm sure was good. I obviously couldn't see
yeah.
any of
Well,
it.
even now the stuff that's coming out, it's just remarkable.
Yeah, but
Like
by now I'm like I'm cleaning up, so like
yeah,
I'm not watching that crap, man. I'm like I'm still frustrated about it, man, because
I mean,
you
we have
know
an entire island here, Sanibel Island, that is just the one way in and out is gone. Like
you know.
the
So
only way to
here's
get on and off that is boat or helicopter right now.
So here's the sad thing. Here's the truth that you don't know, Trinity. So the week, well, that's the week of. So that weekend, right before the hurricane, that's where we were supposed to be.
Wait, what?
Dana wanted to be there, to
Oh,
celebrate her birthday that weekend. But because I was doing all that flying around, I just got
right.
back from Pittsburgh. I was like,
Oh, she
baby,
want to go to Sanibel?
yeah. So she had booked
Wow,
it and everything. She had booked it and
wow,
everything. I said, baby, I said, let's go somewhere close. I don't want to be driving another 4 hours
wow.
after these 2 weeks in a row. I've been in North Carolina. I've been in Pittsburgh. I've been running around. I just got to chill and recharge over the weekend. She wanted to go to Sanibel Island for a weekend,
Wow.
to celebrate. So
Not
we don't
anymore.
go, and then it just got rocked afterwards, man.
Yeah,
So
it's
it wouldn't have been at the same time. We would already been back. We
sure.
were supposed to be there till Monday, and this happened what, Wednesday?
Yeah,
So Thursday. So we wouldn't have been
yeah.
there during
Well,
it,
it's
but
basically
still.
gone now. I mean, that's the thing that I don't know if people who don't live here. It's a weird thing for your brain to process, right?
Right,
Like it's one thing to see it on TV. It's another thing when you physically have been somewhere
right.
and when you look at it and it's not damn it's gone. Like it just doesn't exist anymore. Like that's a hard thing to wrap your head around when it's like Fort Myers Beach and Naples and
Hell, their
and
downtown was flooded.
yeah,
Fort Myers downtown, bro.
it's gone.
I got a call from cousin Leo from St. Louis yesterday. He goes, "Man,
Yeah,
are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." I guess because he hasn't seen me on social media.
right,
I said, "Well, because I got out of habit of that because I couldn't use it for days.
right, yeah,
I'm not looking at it." And so, what do you call it? he said the same place that because he was just there
Yeah.
over the summer. He was in Fort Myers, and then that same downtown that he was hanging out in was. He said, "I just saw that same exact downtown underwater."
Yeah.
I said, "Yep,
It's crazy. And what in 2 weeks time I'm going to be in the Keys.
yeah."
And I've already called to make sure and stuff, and the place that we're going to was
Mhm.
unaffected, thankfully. But yeah,
And,
we'll be down there in 2 weeks.
and you know what? This is a good time to also say on the Friday show, when we talk politics, when we do We the Middle, we're going to talk a little bit about who was affected because I think there's some narratives out there of who
Yeah,
gets the most damage and who gets
yeah,
affected. And I know I want to challenge some of those narratives because clearly whoever's saying all that stuff, they don't live in Florida.
yeah. Well, there's definitely some political stuff that I would love to get into,
Yeah,
and we'll
we're
do
gonna
that
have to get we're gonna
Friday.
have to get it, but this is a good time to preface it to
Yeah,
say if you want to hear the realities and not the politic crap that you're hearing about this storm and how we were warned and if we were prepared and who's to blame and who
yeah.
got hurt. Tune in on Friday's show where we can talk about this is Dharma time, so we're not going to get into all that. But on We the Middle, we will definitely talk about that because you
Yes.
guys are getting fed a bunch of crap right
Yes.
now. I'll tell you that right. I'll at least tell you that in
I think
Dharma
we all
time.
are.
Yeah.
Well, so let me go ahead and move on to the next one then, right? So the
Yeah,
next
good
one,
timing, man. Get me in gratitude mode because I was starting to get a little
yeah,
meh.
well, it's easy. Yeah, so I can't help but to feel grateful though, right? Like
Right.
that is so I'm flooded with in like immense sadness to see people lose. Like I had a moment that I watched. There's a video of somebody who posted something, and the video was water coming into their home,
Right.
like as it was happening, and it wasn't like a dramatic one. Like I saw those as well, where it's just like gushing in,
Right.
but I saw another one where it was like just slowly coming in, and I just thought to myself, like I had some hurricane damage from Charlie,
Mm-hmm.
and some water damage came in. And it flooded part of my house, and I had to like tear up the floors, and it was just it was a disaster. But it didn't ruin my whole house. It was like the lanai, like the front part. Um, and I just remember how much that sucked. And so I could empathize with the video that I was watching. And I just couldn't help but think to myself, like, that's got to be such a horrible feeling, man, to watch water slowly creeping into your house and there's literally nothing you can do about it. And it's damaging every single thing in your home that is below like
Mm.
knee level. And you're watching it happen. You're scrambling, trying to go through your house in that moment to figure out, okay, what's important that's on the ground that I can pick up and move. And I'm watching people put their beds and stuff on like boxes and stuff to try to raise it up. Like it's got to be such a helpless, such a miserable feeling. And so I couldn't help but to be grateful. Like I'm sad for those people, but I'm grateful
Yeah.
that I don't have to deal with that, and none of my loved ones have to deal with that. Like it because they really are devastating. Like I don't think people realize that you can't. It's hard to feel it when you're
Yeah.
watching it on TV because we're so desensitized with all these
Right.
movies and everything else. It's hard to really feel like there's some very real loss, man. Like people have lost everything,
Dude, one
and
of our
so
neighbors, I didn't mean to cut you
yeah,
off,
yeah,
but one of our neighbors, when we were checking on him, because he wasn't there, and then he came back, and where were you? And he was helping his son and his now daughter-in-law and his grandchild because they slept in the attic. Their entire home got flooded. They slept in the attic.
it's crazy, man.
So they've been in the attic. I think they were in there for 6 hours before they got rescued.
Yeah,
Can you imagine sleeping in your attic?
no, I can't even fit in my attic.
First of all, it's full of that pink stuff, that
Yeah,
itchy stuff, man, that
yeah,
insulation. But I mean, if I'm in an attic with my wife and my baby, right? And
yeah,
you don't know, and the rain is still happening.
yeah. You might not even
You
have a house. Like it might be
and there's
swept
no
away.
escape from the attic.
No, you're trapped.
Well, yeah, you're now you've trapped yourself.
Yeah, and if you have to get out, now you have to swim through multiple levels of house to get out in dark, murky, disease-infested water. Yeah, it's not like it is devastating. Like it's hard for that to come through when you're watching it versus living in it. Like it is devastating, and it really wrecks things in a I'm not going to say the worst possible way because I'm sure somebody could think of something worse, but I can't at the moment. Like that is just horrible. But on the flip side of that, I'm grateful in the sense of my house is intact.
Yeah,
Like nothing happened. I'm so grateful for that.
right.
My friends and family, they're for the most part, they're all intact as well. Um, I get to see my neighbors. Everybody's like pulling together and coming together and helping their neighbors and like, hey, what do you need? This? Do you need that? You know, like my neighbor even he came over and asked for some things. I was able to help him out with some stuff. And then I saw video of some Coast Guard rescues, which just really touched me.
Yeah.
And Sanibel Island, once again, Sanibel Island, for those of you who don't know, is a little island off the coast of Florida. It's part of Florida, but the only way to get to and from it is a causeway that connects the two of them. And that was destroyed. So anybody who was on the island, you can't get out unless
Right.
you have a boat or the helicopter comes get you. You're completely stranded. So no electricity, no food, no water, no ability to come and go. Nobody can come help you. And they're showing this. There was a video where this guy they were showing rescues from the Coast Guard. And they were coming in with a little basket, and the guy was going door to door and bringing people out, helping them, helping their little dogs and their cats and stuff, like get in and rescuing them off the island. And just to see the look of gratitude in their face, like somebody's here to save me. And to know that person, got up that morning knowing that they're able to go help other people, like it filled me with a lot of gratitude, man. That at the end of the day, as much as we want to argue and fight and complain about things, it's nice to know that at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, uh, compassion and love really do exist still. Like, and I'm grateful for that because you can get jaded by watching things on TV
Yeah,
and
for
think
real.
the whole world is just pissed off and angry, and we're just looking for reasons to argue and fight. Um, and I think on a superficial level that might be true. But at the end of the day, when it really matters, we do come together. We do care about our fellow man. And there's always outliers. I'm not talking about that one neighbor that that's just a crotchety old man who's just. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the majority of people. We do pull together. We do stick together. We do help, and that just made me grateful, man. It made me grateful to be, a part of a species that does that. I guess not to sound too sentimental, but I did. I watched. I was like, you know what? It makes me feel good. And it inspires me to want to go help somebody as well.
Right.
But it really brought it home this time, just because the amount of devastation was different, right? Like with Charlie, there was devastation, but it was mostly structural. Like I saw like 18 wheelers pushed to the side, like thrown over. I saw cars destroyed, trees over. Um, but to me, the flooding was different because it was so widespread. And it was like, that's a devastating thing, man. It's like a death by a thousand paper cuts kind of a deal, right? Like a tree hits, it's a moment, it happens, and you got to recover it, and you got to go out, and you got to. But flooding is just a very slow thing that you can't do anything about, and it's coming. You're watching it happen. Like I remember in my home, this was before I knew my neighborhoods were flooded, thankfully, because I probably would have freaked out a little bit more. But I remember looking out my front yard and seeing the water, and I would check it like every 15, 20 minutes. And every time I would go back, it's getting closer and closer. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I do here? Like, if it does start to get closer, what are my options? And so thankfully I never had to deal with that. But I gotta imagine when that's taking place, like that's gotta be a horrible, horrible thing. Because if a tree hits, it's done. There's nothing you can do about it. By the time you realize it, it's already over. And now it's like but watching the flooding come, like you're watching it come, and it's like, what do you do? So yeah, man, I'm ridiculously grateful right now that there was no damage. Most people I know are okay, and we'll get through this. What are your thoughts on that, my man?
I'm grateful it wasn't like Charlie, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
Because Charlie came with two buddies, Ivan and Gene,
Yeah.
right? And
Or it was
so
a Francis and Jean.
Francis and Gene, that's what I
Yeah.
meant. And so it was these three hurricanes in a row. And for those of you that don't know, that means we had one each weekend. And it came right on the weekend. It was like every weekend we got
Yeah.
another one. Boom,
If I remember
boom,
correctly,
boom.
Jean left and came back. If I remember correctly, she hit us twice.
Yeah, I don't even know. I just know that, and the problem was with that was Charlie was so fast and strong, that it was still a very powerful hurricane when it hit because it was so fast. So the way it came in is kind of the way it exited. It didn't slow down or
Yeah.
weaken,
It traveled at
hardly at all.
25 miles an hour. For those
Yeah.
of you who don't know.
So all the trees were down. I mean, trees were down everywhere. It was like a war. It looked like a bomb hit
Yeah.
outside. I remember coming outside. It was like a bomb had destroyed. We didn't have power like for days. And right when we were getting power back, then came the next one. And the next
Yeah.
one was just rain,
Yeah.
rain, rain. And the problem with the rain, then, this is why I think those were worse, is first of all, everybody lost their roofs or had leaks.
Yeah.
So everything was tarped up. All of Florida, by the way, not just Orlando, all of Florida was tarped up. Why do I know this? Because I had a roofing company at the time on the side, and that on the side became almost like a full-time job at the time. And everybody's roof needed to be done, and everybody had leaks. So the problem with that was when it rained, guess what happened? People were living in one little part of their house,
Yeah.
just getting trenched. So yeah, it wasn't the flooding that we have here for some reason, because I don't know why. I don't know why the
I don't know
flooding
either.
was more this time than that. But the rain, when you're sitting there and you're huddled up with your family. So every time
Yeah.
I'd go to this new home to do their roof, and I would see where they were living. They were
Yeah.
living in like a corner space of their entire house, and they had the visqueen up, like all kinds of, everybody had like makeshift things within their house, like tents within their house that they were living in, because they couldn't afford to go to a hotel. They couldn't go anywhere. All the hotels are full because everybody had leaks and everybody lost roofs. So I mean, it was ugly. It was
Yeah.
ugly. So this was nowhere near that kind of devastation, but this isn't over, and we can say that because we're not in it. But you're
Yeah.
right. The flooding that happened on this one, it's still happening.
Yeah.
It's still happening. So I'm grateful that I'm not sitting over there. I got my power back. I can get back to life pretty normal now. They're still underwater. They still don't know what's going to happen. And let me tell you some people, to be a homeowner right now, and your insurance company tell you we don't cover that kind of flooding. Like if it would have flooded from the sky, yes, but because it flooded from the ground, no, we don't cover that.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute. There's actual difference between hurricane insurance and flood insurance, and it's different. There's
Yeah.
a difference between homeowners insurance, then flood insurance, then hurricane insurance. All these things are different apparently. And so there's a lot of people that we watch them with flood. They're not covered, by the way. They're
Yeah.
not covered. Not
Yeah.
everybody that you see is covered. If you're a renter, you can just move on and go live with somebody else. Go see. If you're a homeowner, you just lost your freaking investment,
Yep.
and you still got to pay it. You're not done paying
The
that for
other
30
thing,
years.
with the flooding that I noticed, that I think sticks out in my head is not only did it impact your home, but everybody's cars. Like the flooded was over to the roof. So if it got to your house, it most likely got to your car. So not
Yeah,
only did you
well,
lose your home, but you also lost your car. So you
and
literally
your
have
stuff.
nothing. So you literally have
Your
nothing.
stuff.
Yeah.
And
Like
when you're talking about doing that to a lot of people, I mean, where do they go? Who do they call? Especially if you're talking about people who are not even used to asking for anything from anyone. There's a lot of
yeah,
people in our country that they haven't asked for anything from anybody. They don't even know how to access. If they didn't have food today, they just go without. They don't even know what a food bank is. They don't even know what numbers to call.
yeah,
They don't have a caseworker. They don't have a social worker. They don't have anything that they're used to calling. They're used to like either feeding themselves or not eating or
yeah,
having a friend. But all their friends got damaged too, so now they don't have that.
yeah,
So yeah, man, I'm real grateful that I'm not in that situation. Here's what else I'm grateful. I'm grateful my family did okay. They were in their purge house over there in Tampa. Well, my mom was flying in from Turkey, so she missed the whole thing. But my dad
wow.
was hunkered down with my brother and my sister in law in the Tampa area. They did well. They're okay. I'm grateful that they're okay. I'm grateful that we're okay. I'm grateful that the damage just I don't have to call the insurance company. I got one window that needs to be replaced that's cracked. I really don't need to call the insurance company for that.
Same.
Because the deductible, it doesn't matter anyway. I just got to pay for it anyways. So
Yeah,
the window is not more expensive than the deductible. Um, and I'm real grateful that the loss of life is the lower number than a higher number, because it could have been much worse.
yeah,
Had this been a faster hurricane, it would have still hit us at a 2-3. And then that would have been a lot more devastating than apparently
yep.
what we got. So I don't know, man. It's just sad because still when you go, it's not business as usual out there.
No,
I
not
don't.
yet.
Just think about what you guys go out to this morning. If you wanted to go out to the gas station, your gas station is business as usual. Well, my gas station is not business as usual. You go get coffee. Maybe you want to go get coffee somewhere. Maybe that's business as usual. Well, that it's closed down. It's not
Yeah,
business as usual. You have supplies. You can go to your Publix. My Publix was flooded, completely flooded. So my Publix, I can't go shopping. Business as usual. I can't get goods. Business as usual. So we got to wait.
yeah,
I lost everything in my fridge, but I can't even go grocery. I'd have to go far away to go grocery shopping because the grocery stores all flooded. So they lost their stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
If
just
you can
not
even get out
business
of
as
your
usual.
neighborhood, because
I
like
can now. I can now.
yeah, well, like my wife, for instance, had it not been for my truck, none of us would have been able to leave. Like we couldn't go anywhere,
We
and
yeah, we couldn't for the
if they
first
didn't have
day.
trucks, they couldn't get to us either. Like there was no going anywhere unless you wanted to walk,
Well, I
and
told
even
you a
then,
person did tried.
well, if you're walking, then you're going to walk in like 3 or 4 feet of like really gross water, because we're not talking about rain. No, we're talking about runoffs and things of that
Sewer.
nature. I think it was Aaron who his wife posted. They live closer to downtown, and we had a boil water alert where there was like sewage in the streets. Like, yeah, dude, it's yeah.
That's disgusting, bro.
But that leads us to our next topic, right? And the next topic is, we're being facetious here. It says nobody cares, but um, that's the weird part for me. The weird part was, when Hurricane Katrina happened, I always thought it was interesting that the rest of the world was relatively fine. It was one segment that bad things happened, and they knew it, but it turned into like it devolved into like Lord of the Flies. I mean, it was just insane, and I was just like, how can they like? They know that help is on the way. It's like literally just one segment. The rest of the world is business as usual. We're gonna get. It didn't matter to them. That was their world, and that was it. And I get it, because when I saw the devastation around me, that's all I could focus on. Like it didn't. I knew intellectually that like yeah, the help was going to be here, but in that moment, my brain wasn't thinking that. My brain was thinking, "Holy cow! Like what do we do here? Like this is insane." So like all intellectual thought kind of goes out the window, and you're just reacting to what's in front of you when it's that bad, I guess. But later on, like the next like that night, Thursday night, football's on. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching TV, and I was watching mostly coverage just to figure out what was going on around me. But occasionally I would flip off to something else, and it was hard for my brain to compute the idea that the normal programming that you normally watch is on. And I'm like, but how? What? Like, what do you mean it's on? Like, there's people dying next to me, And
Mhm.
like, well, no, the rest of the world is fine. So the people in like Nebraska are they want to watch their football tonight. And so it was just weird. It's a weird concept to understand and wrap your head around that. We really are just a small, tiny drop in an ocean, right? Like we're to us this is our whole world, but there's people out there probably have no clue a hurricane even hit. There's people out there who are so busy with their lives. Maybe they're a farmer or something. They don't really watch the news every day. They get up, just do their thing, go to bed, have no clue that billions of dollars of damage just happened, and people lost their entire livelihood. And they were irritated because they had a flat tire yesterday, and they're like, they're just trying to get through their day. And it's not to take anything away from them either, by the way, because I think that is a natural reaction for some people. Because I've seen that as well. I've even dealt with it, to be honest with you. I've had so I don't know if man. Oh my god, dude, this is gonna irritate me. I don't know if you get this or not, but I get minimum minimum of 50 calls a week of people talking about my house. I they
They
call
want to buy
me.
your home.
Yes, I get. Oh my god, dude. And they're not even from this country half the time, which is weird. It's like a call service or something. I don't know. But they call me. They ask me about my home. They ask me if I want to sell it. I get emails. I get text messages. In minimum, I'm not even joking. 50 a week. Like at first it was funny. Now it's just pissing me off. Um, it's gotten so bad to the point where my mother, who has never lived here, by the way, they call her and text message her. My wife, who's not on the title because I've had this home before I even knew she existed, she's being contacted. My mother-in-law, who's never interacted with this house, she's been here a few times. They've contacted her about like it's insane. And so in the middle of the hurricane, when I'm looking out and it's flooded, I got to be honest. There was a part of me that got irritated when I'm sitting here on Thursday trying to figure out if my house is going to be flooded or not. And I get a phone call of somebody asking me, to sell my house. It's just like, really? Like, really? Do you not read the room, bro? Like, today, really? Could you not turn off your little, like, whatever your call center stuff is? Could you not turn it off today for this area? Like, really? Um, and no, because to them it's just a day's just another day.
Right.
Like it doesn't
Right.
matter to them. And should it? That's debatable. But
Yeah.
I can't get angry at them for living their life right now. You know, like I can get angry, period, because I don't like being called 50 times a week. But as far as the actual thing happening, I have to understand that while it's impacting me, it's not impacting them. You know,
Right.
and just like the things that are happening in their life is very serious to them, but I don't know anything about them, and I'm living my life. I'm not calling up every person in the world and asking them how their day was. Like I'm just not. On a humanistic level, do I care? Absolutely. And if I'm made aware of it, then I'll care, and I'll console them and empathize and everything else. But we can't here be upset that people who aren't here can't comprehend what we're going through. Like, you got to understand that this is unique to us right now. Much in the same way when people are in California and they have the fires or they have earthquakes, like we still want to buy stuff, right? Like, what we don't realize is a lot of the stuff that we buy, especially if it's like hobbies, like cars and things of that nature, it comes from California. Like all of their warehouses, apparently, for every company that exists, is in California. And so whenever you buy something, it's oftentimes being shipped from California.
Mm.
Well, do you still order off of places when fires are happening? Of course you do, because you want your stuff. It never occurs to you that, hey, maybe the person who works at the warehouse who has to put that stuff in a basket, maybe their house is on fire right now. We don't consider that. And so we can't get mad when they don't consider, hey, we're over here flooded and everything else. Like, it's unfortunate, but that's part of living in a country with 330 million people. There's going to be things that affect some that don't affect others. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean you should yell at them or get mad at them. I know that's the normal reaction because we're upset, we're angry, we're looking for somebody or something to blame. And in reality, there is nothing to blame. It's just, it happens and it's unfortunate. Um, but I do think it's interesting, don't you? Like 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 you said, you didn't even realize football was going on. Like there was a whole thing. Matter of fact, there was a huge story that happened in football as well with Tua
I didn't
getting
even
hurt.
know
Like
about it. Yeah, I didn't even know
national
about it.
story, and I didn't even know about it until the next day.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't even know it about it till Sunday football when it's till Sunday
Yeah,
when my son-in-law says, "So you don't know anything that's been kept?" And I was like, "What?" And he said, "The Tua thing." And I was like, "What?" So I was like, "Man, it reminds me. I come from a military family, right? My father's a retired command sergeant, Major Army. My mother's Department of Defense retired. So being that, uh, it's very similar to what you just explained. In other words, in times where the government was struggling with a relationship with another country, or in some sort of battle, like when I was young, it was Vietnam, and older, there's always been some sort of conflict or restriction or warning that we got as a military family that you had to be careful of your movement, be mindful, don't tell anyone that your family works for the government, things like that. Just be mindful. Uh, the rest of the world didn't know those warnings were happening. So
yeah,
you didn't even grow up with all those little warnings that we got. The FBI would come to our house every 2 years and do an evaluation. At that time, they used to do it. I think it was every 2 years. Um, the rest of the world didn't go through all those kinds of little things that we
yeah.
went through. I think of we're all having joy free for the last 20 years. There's people that their sons are out there in battle and they knew that they haven't heard from their son or their daughter in a while, and they're in Kandahar or something like that, supposedly doing a routine check, and they haven't heard from like they normally hear from. So they're living in that, and the rest of us are arguing about little petty crap. Or you're a family member of a law enforcement officer, and you're hearing people just ranting and raving about normal stuff, but your family members out there right now, and you're in fear. Oh my God, my son's out there. I hope he's okay. I hope he doesn't get shot. I hope my daughter's okay. I hope she doesn't get shot. These things are real. There's always something real happening outside it's like, well, nobody cares. Well, you know what? They don't, because they care about their own lives. And it's not a bad thing. If we sat here and cared about everybody at all times,
And we
you
never
wouldn't
moved.
live.
Yeah,
You just wouldn't live. If you were over empathetic to everybody at all times, you could never smile. You could never laugh. And I don't want everyone to live like that. So I have to be understanding that some of you just don't really care so much about what's going on with us. And sometimes I want you to care. And by the way, I'll take this time to be grateful to everybody that reached out via Facebook or text message or whatever and said, how are you guys doing? Thank
same.
you. Thank you. It does mean a lot to me.
It does.
And I'm very appreciative of that. And then on the other hand, there was business relationships that I have that are asking me business related questions, and I'm like, Do you realize what I just went through this
Yeah.
morning and last night?
Yeah.
Are you nuts? And they still haven't asked to this point. They still haven't asked, "Are you okay?" Because they in their head it didn't happen to them, and they still have responsibilities, and I still have responsibilities to those businesses. So they're still like, "Hey, did you get this done? Hey, did you look at that?" I go, "Yeah, when I get my internet back, I'll get right to that." I'm thinking I don't even want to have to say, "Brother, I can't check the email." I can't focus on you and your life and your business at this moment. Because at this moment I have to make sure that my family is still okay, and we got to get electric back and running, and I got to make sure the water is still. I got to constantly try to get whatever little news I can get, because I got to make sure that the water that we have is actually good. Because you don't know, in those little things that you don't think about is like, how do I know that the water is good? Oh well, they said so on TV. Well, guess what? I don't have TV, so how do I know if my water is okay?
Yeah.
That little question is a big question. So luckily, Dana's a gadget person, and she has this little radio, that little kind of wind-up radio that doesn't even require
Yeah.
electricity.
The hurricane ones, yeah.
Right? She has a hurricane radio, and we were able to listen to those alerts, and and it's always the worst radio voice on the planet, right? I don't know who does these, but there's like weather advisory notice for Seminole County, right? And they're telling us that they know if you're listening to that radio, here's what you need to know, and that's the news. They're not doing the hype news.
Yeah.
They're giving you the important stuff. There are no water restrictions in the following areas. Blah, 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 blah. If you live in those areas, just know there's no water restrictions. However, there is extreme conditions of flooding. Please, if you don't have to go outdoors, do not go outdoors. If you don't have to travel, do not travel. They're giving you the important piece of information. They care.
Yeah.
They care because it's their job to care.
Yep.
I know that you guys out there don't care. Matter of fact, you're probably wondering, why aren't you guys just doing a regular Dharma time? Why are you even talking this hurricane thing?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about that, to be honest with you. I did think about, because I know we have a pretty large following outside of the United States.
Yeah,
Like, we have people in other countries who listen to us, and truthfully, they probably couldn't care any less about our hurricane. Like,
especially if they're Ukrainian. They're right now going, oh, I'm supposed to care about Hurricane. What about Hurricane Russia?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and if you're in Ukraine and you're listening to this, like, God bless you, dude. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, you're in war right now. But yeah, I did think about that. And it did occur to me, like, it's important to us. And so I wanted to have one to talk about. But it did occur to me that, like, yeah, there's a whole segment of the population that's just going to listen to this that just really doesn't care. Like, and I don't want to make it sound callous, right? Like, I'm not saying you don't care about people. Like, I do think that if you knew us or if you lived here, you would care. But you don't care in the sense of, is it going to impact how you live your life today?
Right.
No, it's probably not going to. On a humanistic level, I think to an extent we all care. Like, none of us want to hear horrible things happening to people who don't deserve it, right? But on on an actual day-to-day thing, you don't care, and it's okay. Like, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. I get it, because as I said, if I ordered something, if I ordered I don't know, something for my truck, and the warehouse is in California, I still want it. You know what I mean? Like, I ordered it. Like, I paid for it. I kind of want it.
Yeah.
Do I understand if hey, Joey, who works at the warehouse, his house is on fire at the moment, so he can't I get it. Like, I'm not going to throw a fit about it, but I still want it. You know what I mean? Like, I ordered it. I want it here.
Right.
And
what about the linemen? Their family, they're not from this area. They all came from all parts of the country to come help us get our electricity on. They came in advance, knowing that this was going to happen. They were staged and ready. And the same crews that helped my neighborhood get its light back, the very next day when they're working on the neighborhood next to us, one of them lost their life. So you know what? That family cares, because their loved one went out of town to go help Florida and is now dead because of whatever. In that, it just sucks, man. It just sucks because
even
it's
while
not
you're
over.
in it, even while you're in it, people don't care, right? So do you have a ring, like security thing? Well, no, not that kind of ring. So I have a ring, right? For my doorbell or whatever.
Right.
And part of that service is this like neighborhood thing, right? Where you get updates of things around your neighborhood. It's like a social media thing, right? Like, for instance, crazy, last night, somebody posted a video literally like a block from my house. So there's automatic gunfire, which was insane. Yeah, they even posted a video. You can hear it. Like, what is going on? And then that was followed up by 3 separate people saying, I heard gunfire. And this, so it was like they're all hearing it, right?
Right.
So essentially, it's like a social media type thing within your community, to where you can say, "Hey, I found a dog," or "Hey, be careful, this
Right.
person's stealing packages," or whatever.
Right.
I was kind of disheartened, like, so I was seeing all these updates coming through about, "Hey, we're flooded. Hey, we can't get out." And it was a really cool little system in that way, to where people were asking who left, because there was many
Right.
people who just evacuated. They're like, "Hey, I live in X, Y, and Z neighborhood. Is it
Yeah.
flooded? Like, can I come back?" They were just trying to get some information.
Great idea.
And for that, it was cool. Like, it was like, wow, all right,
Mhm.
man, they're all like kind of coming together and communicating.
Right.
But then it was a little disheartening, because then I also saw people who were like getting upset and complaining because they didn't have power after like an hour. It was like an hour or two, and they're like, When are they working on the power? What are they doing?" And it's like, dude, have you not noticed? Like, calm down. You're gonna potentially be without power for a few days, man. If that's the worst thing that happened to you, you're gonna be fine. I'm not saying it's convenient. It sucks, but like when we had Charlie, I had no power for like 2 days. I think it was 2, maybe 3 days. I didn't have any power. It was miserable. It's like, dude, I hate the heat. Everybody who knows me knows
Yeah, because
that.
it was hot.
I hate the heat. It was not 60 degrees outside. It was like 90 something degrees, 100% humidity. And my house was like a boiler room. It was ridiculously hot.
Horrible.
The
And the mosquito
miserable.
and people, the mosquitoes get worse after hurricanes. They
Yes.
all because all the
Yes.
water, like right now, all of Florida is being attacked by mosquitoes.
Yes.
It's you
Yes.
said Lord of the Flies earlier. It's Lord of the mosquitoes out there
Yes.
right now, right?
Yes.
Are you feeling more of them?
I
Dude,
haven't been outside, so
okay, the last couple days, bro, you walk outside, they're like,
yeah.
yes, there he
Yeah,
is.
it's ridiculous.
Wham, they attack you, boy.
So even people who are in the midst of it can't get outside themselves sometimes to even care about their neighbors enough, to the point of, hey, like, it's flooded. Do you really want that person working on an electrical current in 3 feet of water? Like, no, man.
They
Like,
don't want to.
you're gonna have to give them a couple
And
days,
rain.
man. Yeah, and rain.
You-
And so it's like, so even if even the people who are in the middle of it can't sometimes get out of their own world, you can't expect somebody thousands of miles away to get out of their own world either, right?
Well,
Like,
you
it
couldn't even
happens,
turn on your generator. You couldn't turn on your generator the first day because it rained the whole first day. So that
right?
whole first day, whether you had a generator or not, it was unsafe to use because it was still raining
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah,
This
no, it's
look,
just ridiculous. I
look,
mean, you got to understand that, like, it's going to be uncomfortable, man. A natural disaster just moved through your neighborhood. It's going to be a little uncomfortable for a couple of
right.
days.
And even in like you said, even afterwards, because there's always a financial fallout. Uh,
That's
people who planned well, and people who were fiscally responsible their entire life, did all the right moves financially for their entire life. They set themselves up to be in a retirement, and they know exactly to the penny how much money they have to for the rest of their life. Those people just got rocked, and those people now cannot afford to live their life the way they planned and did everything right to get there, and now
right.
they can't. They've never asked anything from
Yeah.
anybody, never used any public help or public assistance. They worked their entire freaking life, and now they lost it, and now they're screwed, and nobody cares about them. Nobody cares about them because they just don't meet that criteria because they did well their entire life. Those are the real stories that unfortunately nobody ever talks about. We will talk about those on Friday.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Well, so that brings me to our final topic here, and that's like moving forward, right? Like picking up the pieces, the
Right.
rebounding. Um, superficially, right off the top, I would say that if you live here locally in Florida, what this should show you, if you didn't already know, is that you live in a state that gets hit frequently with hurricanes and bad weather. So take the necessary precautions, right? Like, we talked about this on Monday's show on the Couch Live, but I'll repeat it here. I have tons of batteries. Like, I just have batteries. I have flashlights. He has a hurricane radio. Like, you got to have certain supplies on hand. I
Yeah.
still have some plywood in my garage from Charlie. So if I needed to, I could put it up on the windows. Like, there's just certain supplies that you should be prepared. Don't wait to the last minute. Have this be like, if you didn't get hit seriously, have this be your wake up call. Next, like, go out and get some supplies. Don't wait until the hurricane is coming and they're telling everybody, because then they're going to be gone. Be that person that just has some basic supplies. I'm not saying you have to be hurricane ready every day of your life, but
Mhm.
there's certain supplies like plywood, for instance, that aren't going to go bad. Like you can just keep it in your garage and just have it there when you need it. So I would say that's the first step in moving forward is mentality change, right? When if you don't have to rebuild, then that's your mentality. If you do have to rebuild, while you're rebuilding, keep in mind preparation for the next one. Because I promise you, there'll be a next one.
Yes,
Matter of
sir.
fact, there's one out there right now called Invest 91L,
Oh, stop it.
and it's going to potentially turn into a storm in the next day
Oh,
or two. And it's taking the
stop.
exact same path that Ian and Charlie took at the moment. Hopefully, it doesn't turn into anything, but it's possible. Um, October is our busiest month. October is just we get hit hard, and so understand that there's going to most likely be another one. If not this year, then next year or the year after. So that's part of the step one, man, is mentality of it's not if, it's just when. It's going to happen, and you need to be prepared. Take it seriously. We talked about this last night, but like, I know hurricane parties sound like a fun idea and whatnot, but they're really not, man. They're kind of irresponsible and dangerous. You know, do you really, as he pointed out last night, do you really want to be intoxicated when you have to run from a tornado? Like, probably not. Like, you want to have all your wits about you. Not to say, if you want to do those, by all means, it's your right. Just understand that you're potentially taking a risk because this idea that it won't happen to you, why not? Like, there's so many people right now here in Orlando that are flooded that have lived here for 20, 30 years who never thought that was going to happen. I've been here for over 30 years. I've never seen these neighborhoods flooded the way they were, and it still happened. So there's no reason why it won't happen. It's just luck, basically, is what it is. So you got to be prepared. You really do.
Yeah.
You got to have supplies. You got to have certain necessities. You have to have a plan. I think that's a big one that people don't realize. Have a plan. If stuff does really get bad, what is your plan? What do you do? Do you have somewhere you're going to evacuate to? Do you have that? Like you got to have some sort of a plan of, hey, if things go south, what are we going to do? You can't just make it up on the fly. Um, but that's for future reference. I think for right now, moving forward, man, um, it's got to be mindset, right? Like, I mean, physically, you got to start cleaning up. You got to start, pulling things out, doing whatever you got to do. But I guess when I think of moving forward, which I think that him and I are both going to focus on at the moment, is how do you mentally overcome it, right? Because I've seen,
Mhm.
so I posted on my social media, and people are just now starting to respond to it. But I asked a question, how are you? And I meant that question because physically, how are you? Like, did you get hurt, whatever? But I also made sure I specifically put in there mentally. There's a lot of devastation around us, man. And if you were a victim of that devastation, I've already seen a couple of people posting about how they don't want to be here anymore. Like, I've seen people posting, I can't do, I lost everything. I don't, they already had nothing and they worked their ass off for what little bit they did have. And the little bit that they did have meant everything to them because that's all they had. And now it's gone. And
Mhm.
and they're like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, how do I so that feeling of being overwhelmed, I get it. Like, I understand it. And so I think we're both going to try to talk to those people right now. It's like, how do you bounce back? And it's going to sound cliche, but you can make it through it. Like,
Mm.
you've been through like, maybe not worse necessarily, depending on how you define that, but you've been through a lot. As we've said numerous times, man, it is not easy to stay alive in this world. Everything's trying to kill you, right? Like, you have cars, blowing past you all the time. You have insects, you have natural disasters. Like, it's not an easy thing to do to make it to whatever age you're at right now. It's not luck. It was a series of really good decisions that kept you alive. And so you have the skill set and the abilities necessary to overcome it. I know it
Right.
might not feel like it. It might not even feel worth it. Like, what's the point? Like, I get all that. Um, and I understand it. Like that, and then that's a normal reaction, right?
Right.
Like, but just don't live in it. Don't if those thoughts come in, understand what they are, and understand that, like, okay, I see you, I get it. I'll let myself feel that way for a second. That's fine, but don't live in it. Understand that. All right, now it's time to start bouncing back, and it is worth it, right? Life is worth living. This most of what everybody lost here, other than lives, of course, is just stuff. I know it. I'm not trying to belittle, anybody's feelings towards things, but at the end of the day, it's stuff. Like you can get more stuff. You can't get more people. So as long as you and your family and everybody is alive, you can rebuild, man. You really can. It's not fun. It's not going to be easy, but it wasn't easy to get all the stuff in the first place. You worked hard for it. So if you keep working hard, you'll get more stuff. I've been talking for a while, man. So I'll go ahead and let you chime in.
No, everything you said is right on point. I think that when you're living through something and you get frustrated and you're like, oh my God, I got to leave. I've been in that situation. I remember living in California when I was younger, living in LA, and this the 7-point earthquake hit. And that was huge, and it happened in San Francisco, but we felt it all the way in LA. And in LA, we had like 15, like a day after that, like for a long time. It was like a bunch per day, and I was like, holy crap, what's going on? I freaked out. And the regular Californians are just like, hey, this is California, man.
Is
What's
that the
up?
one with the World Series? Is that the one
Yeah,
you're talking
that's the
about?
one. That's the one. But to me, I'm freaked out, bro. I'm like, this is insane. Dude, I can't live here. At that point in time, my mind was checked out that I'm not living here for the rest of my life. At that
Right.
point in time, I knew this isn't my destination because I can't live like that. So that's what I'm going to speak to a little bit. If you've been displaced and you feel like I got to get out of here, let me tell you something. Everywhere there's something.
Yep.
Everywhere and every how have you ever watched somebody, Trinity, that doesn't know you're watching them? Like you could see them, whether it be outside your window, whether it be at a store, whether it be
Sure.
somewhere, and you're looking at them, and they have no clue that you're looking at them,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
That's death every day. That's happening to us every day at every moment. Death is staring right at us, looking right at, and we have no idea it's right there. There are so
Yeah.
many things that just barely missed you that you don't know about. Now, you know about the ones that did, right? When
Yeah.
you got in a motorcycle accident, car accident,
Yep.
you got shot at, whatever. But the stuff that you don't know, that's even worse
Yeah.
because you just don't know. Because I could think of instances that I know happened after someone left that they had no idea that if they would have still been in that spot, they would have still been there, they would have known that just happened. But they didn't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
They missed them completely. That's happening to us every day. Well, to you, it unfortunately it hit you on this day. If you're upset and you're frustrated, you're lucky that you have a chance to rebuild. Because there's people you can't rebuild life.
Nope.
You can't get that back. If you lose your life, you can't get that back. So as long as you're living, you still have a chance to rebuild and recover. And as frustrated as you are, and as as much as you don't want to hear that someone else is in a worse position, eventually that's where your mind's going to go. Eventually your mind is going to find peace in that somewhere because it's going to realize that things could be and have been maybe worse in your life, and you rebuilt from that. I hope that at this point in your life, whatever age you are, you have built the self-confidence to know that you have overcome something before, and that practice of overcoming all of your life needs to come into play today. You have overcome maybe bad relationships, you have overcome disappointment, you have overcome failure, you have overcome loss, you have overcome so much to be at this point in age that hopefully you can grab on to all that practice that you have and apply it to this. Maybe you haven't had to overcome this specific thing, but it's not about our individual stories and individual circumstances. It's about the practice of the skill itself, the skill of rebuilding, the skill of overcoming, the skill of knowing that tomorrow is still another day. Things are bad sometimes, but also I hope that you've experienced some good times and allowed yourself to remember the good times as much as that you allow yourself to remember the bad times. I hope you allow yourself to really embrace the good times as much as you tend to focus on the negative times because you've had them. You're the strongest, fastest swimmer that made it to life. You're the strongest. You've been a winner from day one. You've been experiencing so much beautiful and blessings from day one. And as miserable as you think your life is, I guarantee you, there's someone next to you that wishes they could have just one more minute with somebody very special and dear to them. Just one more minute with that person, or they wish they could have one more breath of life to apologize to a person or to say I love you, a person. So don't ever be ungrateful. It's not our job to be ungrateful. It is our job to be forever grateful. It's our job to be forever present in this moment and experience every little moment, because we have no idea why we're really doing this. There's really nobody with the true understanding of why are we able to think the way we think, embrace it the way we embrace it, or even hate it the way we hate it. What is the meaning to all this? Well, it's a need to know basis, and you don't need to know yet. And I don't want to know yet. I'm cool with being ignorant. I'm cool with not knowing to this point in time. I know that no matter what has ever happened in the past review mirror, the front part is always still exciting and entertaining. And I can embrace it with as much love and affection as I did those past moments. I can't embrace the past. I can no longer hug it. I can no longer kiss it. I can no longer enjoy it. But I can move forward and embrace and kiss and enjoy the future. And that's what I choose to do. But the only way to get to the future is if I love and embrace this very moment that I'm in. Because if I don't embrace this very moment that I'm in, and I don't respect this moment that I am, I will never get the future. The future is not guaranteed. The only guaranteed is this exact moment in which I am. And right now, you're listening to this or you're watching this. So that means there's probably a reason and a purpose that you're watching this and listening to this. And maybe if you accept this as the gift that it's intended to be, we can go through all this together. We're here for you at any time. This has only been one episode and one moment in time. This has only been one day and one experience that we're discussing today. But we come here every Tuesday, and we expect we hopefully every Tuesday. There are some stops sometimes, but we come here and we're available to you, and you can always reach out to us. He is the Dharma guy. I am the Dope Doctor. Please reach out to us if you're struggling psychologically at the moment. If you're struggling with depression or anxiety about all this in the moment, you don't have to. You don't have to experience this alone right now. We have resources, we have friends, we have places that you can call and talk to, and hopefully get through all of this. But right now, we're just in we're still in shock mode. We still don't know all the damage that's happened. We still don't know all the repercussions and all the cost, whether it be emotionally, financially. We just don't know yet. But we will get through this. We always do. The human race is gone through this over and over again, and you're just part of that human race. So whatever tragedy you can see in the past, it might not have been you or your family, but guarantee you and your family went through it. Your family did go through it.
Yeah.
Your family's been through the Spanish Inquisition. Your family's been through the Roman Empire. Your family's been through the what do you call it, the plagues. Your family's been through all of that. You don't remember because you weren't part of that, but you've been through it.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end right there. To be honest with you, um, all I will say, moving forward from that, well, first off, let me say thank you everybody for watching. Appreciate you guys. As always, you can follow us on social media. He's at the Dope Doctor. I'm at the Dharma Guy. Together, we are Dope and Dharma. You can, if you want to participate in these on a live fashion and communicate with us, you can go to Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch and follow Dope and Dharma on there. And then if you want to take us on the go, then by all means, any of your major podcasting platforms, you can check us out on there as well. Um, yeah, I'd like to finish it with it sucks, and it does
That's a
it.
quotable word. It
Yeah,
sucks.
it sucks, right? Like there's no way around it. Um, but did you really think life wasn't going to? Like it's going to suck. That's part. If you follow the spirituality component of things, pain is a part of life, right? Like we got to stop waking up every single day thinking today's going to be the day that nothing undesirable happens. It's going to every day, and there's going to be. It's a sliding scale. Tomorrow my bad moment might be I can't find my keys and I'm late for something. Yesterday or a couple days ago, my bad moment was there's a hurricane coming through and it flooded my whole neighborhood. But there's going to be things that you don't like, and there's going to be things that are just undesirable every day. It's going to happen. The biggest thing is how do we respond to that? What do we do with it? And if you cling to the good times or you try to push away the bad times, you're going to create suffering for yourself. Period. You're going to live in a constant state of suffering. It's going to suck, and there's nothing anybody's going to be able to tell you. And that's your right. If you want to do that, go for it. Like there's nobody stopping you. But I will say is there is a way that you don't have to live that way, right? There's an alternative way, and that alternative way is acceptance. Accepting it for what it is, not what you want it to be. Just realizing that yeah, this happened. It sucks. It's unfortunate. Now I'm going to adapt to it. I'm going to reevaluate my priorities. I'm going to reevaluate what I'm attached to and what I'm pushing away, vice versa. But it is possible. You got to want it. You got to want to live that life, and I think we all kind of do. We just got to admit it, right? We got to admit that trying to push away things that you don't like and clinging to the things that you do like is not working. And it's not going to happen because you can't do that. You cannot fill your life with nothing but good stuff all the time, every day, because even the good stuff has to come to an end at some point. So, what I would encourage everybody to do, if you're not in Florida, just understand that your brothers and sisters down here in Florida, we just went through something. We might need some patience. We might need some encouraging words. We might need you to shoot us a text and ask us how we're doing. Some people are handling it different than others, and I truly have seen people saying on Facebook, "I don't want to be here right now. I'm thinking about ending it." Like, I've seen people doing that, and thankfully, there's a huge outpouring. Um, so if you're not in Florida, just understand. We might need some patience and some compassion at the moment. And if you're in Florida and you're going through it, you're not alone. Look around. There's a lot of people. We're all going through the same thing. Understand that you have a lot of help around you. Be it personal one-on-one help. Reach out to your neighbors if you need something. Don't be too proud to ask for help. Don't be too proud to like post on your social media. Hey guys, I've got this. I need some help. Does anybody know what to do? That we're all going to band together. Right now's the time to do it. So don't be afraid to help, and don't be afraid to help others. If you have a skill, if you have an asset, if you have an ability, go help. Offer to help your neighbors. This is the time to pull together and help each other get through this, because we will get through it one way or another. We will all get through it. So that's all I got. Go ahead.
Wait, because I know you got a way of ending your show, and I don't want us to end the show yet
No,
for
go
1
ahead.
second, because I got you reminded me of a new line that I'm gonna start ending my little segment on this show
All right.
before you do your closing.
Okay.
And you just gave it to me, man. Some days the best feeling you're gonna get is your morning pee. That's all you get from me.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
that's 100% true. That is 100% true, man. That is part of the third truth, man. To be honest with you, it
is
really,
that really? It's written right there, right?
yeah. Well, for the most part, right? Like,
Yeah.
the thing
Well,
is,
that's what I heard you say. To be honest, that's what I heard you say. Sometimes the
yeah.
best feeling I'm gonna get is my morning pee. So I'm just gonna have to be satisfied with that. So thank
There
you
you
very
go.
much for that, Dharma guy.
There you go. Glad I could offer nuggets of wisdom here. So, anyways, all right, everybody, that's what we got. Thank you for watching, and hopefully, if you guys want to tune in on Friday, we'll get into some of the politics and some of the
Woo!
nitty gritty about what's
Woo!
happening. The underbelly, if you will, of what's going on.
Yeah.
The tone will be a little bit different than it is on Tuesdays. So, for that one, make sure you guys tune in. I'm assuming we'll be around 12 o'clock Eastern time on Friday. Once again, it can be on if you want to interact with us, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch under Dope and Dharma. Find us on there and participate in the discussion. I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be a good one on Friday. So
Woo!
that's all we got today. Now that you know better, do better. Peace.